A company that empowers everyday entrepreneurs, GoDaddy has cemented itself as the world's largest internet domain registrar and web hosting company, bagging the honor of numerous prestigious awards. Speaking on how the company is leading its India business and constantly working towards identifying new growth strategies for small and medium businesses in the country, I have with me Nikhil Arora, MD and VP of GoDaddy India. We welcome you, Nikhil.
Thank you, Samaya, and it's a pleasure to be part of this platform and having this dialogue with you.
We welcome you, and let me begin with asking you, how have the past months been for you both personally and professionally?
So I think, like everybody, this is kind of the time or the year or few months nobody has ever seen, whether you're an individual or a business or just from a humanity point of view. So I'll break this down into both how it's been personally and how it's been professionally in the last few months, right? Let me start from a professional perspective, and thank you for giving a brief introduction about what GoDaddy does. Essentially our mission is to help everyday entrepreneurs realize their dreams by coming online, growing online, and really, connecting with the customers online. And we've been in India now, over 7-8 years. We have over 1 million customers, and what we're really proud of is making an impact on customers who begin their journey all the way from coming up with a name, right? When you're a customer, you think about what do you want to call your business, and that's when the domain comes in, and then you call your business something. That how do you bring it to life so people can discover you? That's when you convert your domain to a website and so on. So it's been quite a fulfilling journey here. Last few months have been tough for employees, for customers, and for the entire ecosystem. And what we've really done and been part of it is staying connected to our customers on a very regular basis, because we realize the shifts of business which happened very dramatically, and to some extent small business segment, which obviously is a big part of any country's growth and employment, has suffered a lot, because the whole ecosystem, which was connected, I would say partly offline, partly online, had to shift to complete online, and there have been a lot of disruptions. So what we've done is we're trying to come up with a few of the initiatives to kind of help customers stay connected to their customers and their businesses and so on. On a personal basis, I also had a chance to reflect on what all is going on, and I ended up writing an ebook which is called Subtle Shifts of Radical Change, which was all about actually capturing the learnings from all the folks I was talking to on, what are the shifts which are happening in this pandemic world, and what are the shifts which are temporary, and what are the shifts which are permanent to stay beyond the pandemic.
I will be coming to the irreversible changes that are a natural consequence of this pandemic, and very many congratulations for your debut book. I did the research on that, so I must congratulate you.
Thank you.
So you just spoke about how the S&B has, suffered a lot, especially during this testing time. Can you give me a sense of the small and medium businesses ecosystem in India? How was 2020 for them? What's the outlook for 21?
Yeah, so the small business ecosystem, as many folks know, right, it contributes over 40% to country's output. It is the second largest source of employment, after agriculture, and most amount of innovations actually happen from small businesses, right? So it's a very integral and important and key path of forward-looking growth of where India needs to go. What we also know is that before the pandemic, right, if you think of the market size of small businesses, and depending on what estimate you look, right, it's 50 to 60 million small businesses. But when you carve out to say, okay, how many are, I would say, online connected, right? You look at there's only 10 to 15 million businesses which are genuinely online connected. And so this 2020 has actually forced that shift to move that number somewhere north of that. And it'll be obviously a good thing because previously many businesses could survive and sustain and grow without being online because they were so-called hyper-local businesses, or they were just connected to the customers, through other means. Now that's going to change. So how it's been for customers in 2020, I think it's been tough because their ability to connect with their customers, the ability to sell their products, the ability to deliver their products, the ability to really, even do basic things suddenly got changed in 24 hours. So it's certainly been very tough. And certain industries have really even a more worse blunt, right? For example, travel, hospitality, transportation, and so on. Whereas the digital businesses perhaps were in a good position in that sense to be able to, ride this tough period. I think as we look forward, the way we look at it is, I think digitization is going to get significantly accelerated. I think, which means that more and more small businesses will now get connected online. I think the 10-15 number hopefully will double in the next few years, whatever the few years turns out to be. I think also the skilling, the digital skilling part becomes very important, because there are a lot of small businesses and a lot of their employees which never needed to perhaps learn those skills. Right now, it becomes almost a table stakes. So I think the digital skilling will become a big part of, as we look in the future. And third is, I think, the access to capital would need to be, I would address, partially is being addressed by some programs from the government and private sector, but I think that's going to be a bigger need, because a lot of small businesses, are in dire need to make sure that the lights are on, the business is running, and how do they get access to working capital? Because as you know today, 70-80% of the finance of small businesses either comes from debt or their own family funding, right? They have very little access to public markets. Now with this pandemic, that's even become more harder. So how do more access links gets created for small business to be able to, get more access to capital, whether it's through, some loan programs or through government programs or through some other schemes which both the public and private sector can come up with.
Right. In fact, GoDaddy did roll out a lot of initiatives to help these small businesses and startups. What was your experience there? What kind of initiatives did you roll out?
Yes. So, the minute the pandemic started, the first thing we realized was that there was a lot of information out there, where there was just overload of information for small businesses to process, right? Because there was a lockdown and the small businesses were like, okay, where do we go to get information on government incentives? Where do we go in information on private incentives? Where do we go to get information on, I would say, just which programs are out there, which schemes are out there, which can help them tide the wave. So we came up with this page or platform called Open We Stand. And essentially that was a one-stop shop which captured both GoDaddy's incentives and help we were putting out to our customers, and other companies and other public sector links where all the information was there. So that way, if you're a small business, you can just come to like GoDaddy Open We Stand page and really look through all the things which are out there, like GoDaddy is offering this, XYZ is offering this, here's some kind of government announcement, to help small businesses and so on, right? So concising the information on a one single platform to make life easy was our first part. Then we rolled out, obviously, extended periods for renewals, because we know customers couldn't renew the products because many of them were not connected or, prices going on. Thirdly, we also rolled out what we call GoDaddy Academy. I talked about digital skilling. And what we realized was this is a time when everybody was kind of stuck at home. And so how do we help our customers, enhance their digital skills? So GoDaddy Academy is a platform where you can come and learn about, what is a domain, how to build a website, how to sell online, basic things. Nice. And also kind of certify yourself so you could go out and really, expand your, I would say, employment opportunities. And lastly, we did a lot of CSR work because we believe being, being a good citizen of the community is equally important. So we worked with both the national and state governments in kind of helping some of the programs around daily labors. We've done fundraising, for some of the initiatives for, slums in Mumbai, to helping women entrepreneurs and all that stuff. So we really looked at the entire spectrum of of those initiatives.
What kind of a response did you garner with your partnership with the institutions and the industry bodies that you associated with?
Yeah, so we recently had launched, for example, an academy program with a couple of large, skilling platforms, which would get access to 800, 900 universities, right? We, like, for example, partner with Keto, right? Keto is the largest fundraising platform, and where we started a program, GoDaddy SMB Relief, where if you're a small business, and I talked about the working capital challenge, that if you're a small business, you come and you start a campaign, to really talk about the issue you're trying to fundraise yourself for, whether it's to pay your employees or whether to kind of keep the lights on, and crowdsource your problem to others so they can contribute, right? So this program, which was on Keto, powered by GoDaddy, was they have to pay no fee. It's, if you and I are a small business, we can just go and start a campaign, talk about what the campaign is about and what we need the funding, and off it goes, right? So we garnered a lot of good support from industry and other partners, because this was one time where I think humanity took kind of the fore and kind of front place, and so everybody wanted to collaborate together rather than kind of compete, which was kind of the old world.
That's right. And as they are talking that it's not just the economic crisis that we're all grappling with, but the livelihood and health. So we're actually dealing with three crises at the same time, which hasn't happened really earlier.
Yeah, and it's good you mentioned that, because one of the things, even again, right from the lockdown, we've always been focused on, I would say, mental and physical wellness of our employees and our stakeholders. And so when this, obviously we had initiatives in place beforehand, but when the lockdown happened and thereafter, we have been providing many avenues to our employees, to basically grapple this issue, because, as you understand, many employees live in different infrastructure, right? Not everybody has a big house. Not everybody has a house where you can separate. So, and then there are kids at home, and there are other folks at home, right? So how do we help our employees kind of stay both mentally well, because you're not going out to the office and you're not in the old world, and also physically staying active without overexposing yourself to the risk out there, right? So we did a few programs where we really made sure that our employees are taken care in that aspect.
Awesome. Nikhil, you being the captain of the ship, I'd like to know how, according to you, can entrepreneurs and business leaders make the required shift to strive and thrive in this new normal, since the world is undergoing transformational change across sectors?
Yeah, so not to kind of steal some of the narrative of what I mentioned about that ebook, but one other thing I think is we all become beginners now, right? It's almost like when you think of your first year of a college and you don't know when you enter the college what the hell's going on, right? The world certainly made that shift to realize all of us are beginners. So ability for us to be able to unlearn what we have learned, right, and kind of relearn, right? So it's unlearn, relearn, and then apply. As an entrepreneur, that becomes very important, because there are certain going in hypotheses and assumptions, which were there in the past, which changed overnight, right? Yeah. And so, as an entrepreneur, you got to be able to be agile and shift very quickly, and just really adapt to that, right? So that's number one. Second is, I think, I would say, is purpose-driven, and again, I talk about this in the book also, the purpose-driven businesses are going to succeed in the future, in my mind. We value purpose-driven brands and purpose-driven businesses a lot, which means, as a business, what do you do above and beyond, your line of commercial interest, right? And hence, building your, I would say, brand, and building your kind of marketing narrative, and building your messaging around that, hey, you have an obligation to the community, you have an obligation to society, and how you kind of contribute in that way is going to be very important. So for an entrepreneur, being able to have a purpose-driven, right, missionary first and mercenary next, and I talk about this, right, it's very important. So that really would differentiate you, as a business from the back. And the third is, I think, ability to kind of reskill your teams, or make sure you're doing, you're kind of making that effort, because the talent you need now perhaps may be very different than the talent you had required 2 years ago, because again of the shifts.
I agree that agility and purpose are two of the most famous buzzwords for 2020, right?
Yes, absolutely, right. I mean, and kind of again, I always say, right. I mean, you can always, like, be a missionary first and mercenary next. And what I mean that is that, if you're a purpose-driven business person, you can always find a way to make money. But if you're a money-making business person and no purpose, you can never, be a purpose and never can succeed. So having that differentiation and mindset is very important.
That's right. Nikhil, I'm very intrigued to know the kind of changes in the consumer behavior or business realities that you thought are now irreversible because of this pandemic.
So one, I think how we discover services and products, right? I mean, in the past, obviously, there was a certain segment of consumers who always be comfortable that I need to go and touch and feel the product all the time, right? Which is really a high touch way of whether it's retail or whether it's anything else, right? I think that's changed. I don't know if for good, but for a long time, which means that as a business, when you're marketing to them, you have to be able to substitute that high touch behavior with something which gives them the comfort, because the behavior is shifted. Now I always want to discover online anything, right? Because I cannot go offline. And so one segment likes it and one segment doesn't like it, but both have to adopt it, right? So as a brand, as a marketing, as a market person, or as a business, how do you make sure you get those consumers to at least feel more connected and trust? Because trust is very important. And, the high touch was always related to trust. And so that's one. The second, I think, is around being, like some of the businesses, I would say, importance of healthcare, right, is here to stay, right? Meaning health at the center of anything you do. Before it was only your personal business. Now it's a business, meaning, and even in a private sector, right? I mean, how are you making sure your employees are being provided the right kind of healthcare environment and facilities, so they are at ease and their family at ease. So that's the second one. Third, I think also I would say the role of government. And while we're talking about it, and I talk about this GDP framework again in my book, which I call the government influence has never been so strong in our lives in businesses ever. You think about it, the government can't decide what is open and what is closed, right? For the right reason. The government also has a big say in healthcare programs. The government has a big say on having the part influence the government. Use part of, I would say, a corporate, look at my consumers. But now you have to build government relations as integral part of your strategy. So I think those would, I would say, with the big trends. And then again, acceleration of digitization is here to stay, right? So in all form of structures, productivity tools, right? We all are working from home. So how do we increase our productivity? How do we increase our collaboration, right? So those are the shifts from a consumer point of view. It's going to kind of define the future of, I would say, working. And even my last thing on this is working from home or working from office or hybrid. Somehow the model is going to change, meaning it may not be 100% work from home. It may not be 100% from work, somewhere in the middle.
My last question to you, Nikhil, what new business strategies are on the table for GoDaddy? What's the outlook for 21?
Sure. So, what we pride ourselves in bringing to life somebody's dream when they buy a domain. We pride ourselves when that domains get activated and it's an active, website. And then when they want to kind of communicate with the customers, we provide email products. And when they want to secure the website, we provide SSL products and so on, right? As we look forward, I think we want to continually enhance on what we already offer. And we take pride on, for example, both .com and .in, right? We've been kind of talking about vocal for local, right? We've been already promoting the .in also to say, hey, if you're a business in India, you should always consider a com and an IN, because it's important that it gives you that, both country pride and also help promote local businesses. So one is to continue to enhance and make the products we have better, both from a performance perspective and pricing perspective and service perspective. And then we keep looking at new emerging areas. Again, GoDaddy Academy was one of the examples we came up, where we came up with these digital skilling programs, which was an extension. We also launched a new product during this year called Online Startup Bundle, which was basically meant to help, like if you're a first-time person coming online, right? What are the things you need and what are the roadblocks you see, right? The things you always want is, okay, I want a website, but I don't have the resources to hire somebody to build a website. So it's too complex, it's too hard.
It was a great time talking with you, and this interview will sure benefit the audiences as well. Thank you so much for your time, Nikhil.
Yes, it was wonderful chatting with you, and good luck on this lovely platform, and congratulations again, and look forward to more interactions.